Y'all seen me what?
The book.
What book?
That book. That
Oh.
book. This is where William gives arms to Harold. And then in return, Harold, he gives allegiance to William. And he puts his hands on an altar and a chest containing sacred relics, which is believed to have come from the cathedral at Bayeux. And I think this is, yeah. Okay.
Just hold them up and show me them right now.
It's a picture inside. It's a picture outside.
Now, is the structure right there what it looked like at the time when Harold was pledging his oath to William?
I don't think so.
Why?
It was burned 2 times.
Right. The cathedral was burned twice, but the west side and the crypt. What is a crypt? C-R-Y-P-T. Anybody know what a crypt is?
Is it part by the altar?
It is near the altar. We talked about this when we studied the Muslims. The Dome of the Rock, remember there's a crypt that the dome is built over? Yes?
It's where there's crypt, isn't it where they have someone dead buried?
The remains of someone, a saint.
Oh, like in St. Peter's Basilica.
Yes.
Over St. Peter.
So their bones, or their whole skeleton, or parts, things that belong to them, relics, are buried in the crypt. Now, why, are you going to talk about why this was important? That William had Harold swear to him loyalty over the crypt.
Because it was over saint's bones, and when you swear over saint's bones, it's the most binding swear.
Okay? And do you think that might be where Americans came up with the idea of putting their hand on the Bible and swearing on the Bible? Maybe? But back then they did it over the remains of saints. Because why? Did they have the Bible then?
There's only like a few per like city because it's hard to copy.
Right, they had scrolls and copies made by the monks, but there was not a book that had been, combined because the printing press had not been invented yet. So instead, they swore over religious relics.
And this is what Harold swore. It says, I, Harold Godwinson, Earl of Wessex, solemnly swear to accept William, Duke of Normandy, as my overlord. I will accept William as the lawful heir to the English throne should King Edward die childless. I pledge my betrothal to Duke William's daughter Agatha. I will use my power and wealth to ensure William's succession to the throne, and I will keep a garrison of Duke William's knights at Dover Castle at my own expense, to help me God and all the saints. And then it says, basically just William shows him what's inside the box, and he was alarmed that he saw dead bones. But
Do you think he was alarmed because he saw dead? I don't think bones are alive. Do you think he was alarmed because he saw the bones of someone dead, or was it because he had made such a oath of honor?
oath of honor. So then here, Harold returns to England in a house which may have been his own manor house of Beauchamp. People were watching him coming.
She doesn't know that I read this off, but that's the manor house of Beauchamp.
And then he rides to London on his black horse, but he shaved his mustache.
Been with the Normans a while.
And he goes to the Palace of Westminster and tell King Edward about his adventures in Normandy. And they say that this is like the hand of God, pointing down from heaven, shows that it has been consecrated.
And did y'all see that in your picture, the hand of God?
I didn't have it. I only have I'm missing the second and the fourth.
Sorry.
And then,
Is it in this one?
No, she may have not made copies of that, but find it on there. And pass it down, let them look at it. How many of you had noticed the hand of God in that scene? It's kind of an odd, just the hand coming out. And what is it over?
The house,
What house?
the manor house.
No? Look again.
is it the Westminster Abbey?
It's over Westminster Abbey.
And then,
And one more question, does anyone know what Westminster Abbey was called before it was called Westminster Abbey? Did y'all come across that in your research? The Abbey of St. Peter. Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I remember from the book. I think that said it.
and then a year had passed, and King Edward was dead. And right here, you see that the minister and the priest were trying to and an attendant were trying to minister him. And that is his wife, Edith, the queen. And he is laid in the great hall below, and then is borne in a solemn funeral procession to the newly built church of St. Peter, which later became the Abbey of Westminster.
Very good.
Oh, me and my mom looked up Edward's death, and it said kind of like he had a stroke, and that he may have been albino because he had like blonde hair and stuff.